will be going ahead and helping you further and taking you through this entire presentation. So before we proceed further, a quick understanding about today's webinar. Today's webinar would be on seller answering by a question. So what exactly is this particular feature? So to let you all know, this is a project that would be available to all of you soon. This is a futuristic project, and slowly and gradually, you all should have this feature available with you, where as a seller, you will be answering to the questions that your customers or buyers are asking. So as of today, we are still working on it, and soon it will start working out for all of us, and you all should have it in a couple of days or a month. However, let's go ahead and understand that what exactly is this feature and prepare ourselves for the future, because tomorrow, if you have this particular feature available for you, then you should not be hesitating or delaying in taking whatever responsible step that you should be taking. So now, in this particular presentation, like I said, that we will be talking about the feature, what exactly is the feature, what are the benefits for you, and how would it look like on your seller dashboard, and what would be the do's and don'ts, or the things that you need to follow in order to go ahead and make this feature a successful one, and things that you should not do at all. Now, in order to understand the definition, like it's mentioned over here already, I'll read it out loud. So a lot of times, buyers or customers have questions about products which they ask on Flipkart.com before or after buying the product. I'm sure that we all are aware that there are customers who tends to know before buying the product or after purchasing the product. Some are generic questions which can be answered by other customers itself. And however, some questions will be always there which only a seller, that is, which only you can answer about your product. Like we all know that maybe, you are selling something, obviously many purchaser or many buyers or many customer can provide a solution or can provide answers to the generic questions. But there will always be questions that you as an expert or as a seller will be the only one who can answer it. So this feature would actually help us in ensuring that our buyers' experience and trust enhances as and when they purchase the product. Now, here's an example that for example, let's think that there are questions about warranty and guarantee of the product or the serviceability of the product, which other customers might not provide a valid response to, or other customers might not help the customers who are asking the question to know the exact information about the same. So you will be the right point of contact or the right POC in order to provide a valid response that should be helpful to the customer. So this feature would help you in doing so for your own product. Now, what are the benefits? So this particular product would actually empower you to answer questions. We already took an example. So this feature would help you connect with your customers so that they can trust on your product quality. Because today, there are many customers who prefers to know about the product before purchasing the product. So this would actually help you in going ahead and ensuring that the trust factor is still there for your customers. Next, it will provide additional details and provide more information to your customers that would help you boost your sales. So more information is always good for your product. And finally, your responses or your answers would actually help the customers to make a very firm and an informed decision, which will actually lead to lower returns. So let's take a very, very simple example over here. most of the time, I'm sure that all of us might have actually gone through that particular phase where customers have returned the product maybe because of incorrect size or anything as such. Now, let's say you're selling a product, and after the customer, or you might have questions coming in about the size. There will be customers who might be asking that, I am a person who uses Excel, so this is the size. So, which size should fit for me? Now, as a seller, if you answer that before the customer purchases the product, you already know, as a matter of fact, that tomorrow if the customer returns the customer purchases the product, then the probability of return would automatically be less because the customer has purchased the correct item. So this is how it would benefit you in answering your buyer's question. Now let's see quickly how would it look like on your seller user interface. Now the first thing is seller dashboard homepage. So when you go to your seller dashboard homepage, you need to log into your seller portal, and once you hover your mouse, you'll have an option, a new panel that is called as connect with buyers like this. So this particular panel would open. You can view the following sections. So you'll have unanswered, bookmarked for later, and answered panel. So unanswered will show the number that the questions have been assigned to you and you should answer it immediately. You need to click on this in order to see the question and answer it. Bookmark for later, along with the number, would give you an information that is this particular questions have been assigned to you earlier, but you have saved it to answer later. And finally, answered will help you with the list of questions that you have already provided and answered to in the past months. So this is how it would look like in that particular Connect with Buyers panel. So all you need to do is you need to go ahead, log in on the home page itself. If you hover your mouse to the right, you should be able to go ahead and see a new panel. Next, for home page, like we already discussed about this, in this particular panel, you need to click on the unanswered, and then you need to see the questions like this. You can see the questions would be like this. So the first question, for example, in this snapshot is, this is a college bag. You'll have to go ahead and provide an answer. So as it's mentioned over here, that the panel will widen to show all the questions that needs to be answered for a particular product. Provide your answer in the text box below and then click on submit for approval. So you can click on that particular question, you can expand it for that particular product and then answer it and then click on submit. This is the bookmarked ones. You can already see this yellow bookmark sign over here. That simply means that we have learned, that we have kept it for future. You should keep this in mind that the character limit for your answer is 200 characters, including spaces. You can also mark not interested if you don't want to answer any question. However, we would always recommend you to answer as many questions as possible and not to mark not interested, because you might end up losing a customer who wanted to know that question, and later on, as you did not respond to it, they preferred not to purchase from you. So ensure that you provide short, simple and sweet plus specific answer over here below 200 characters that includes spaces. Next, once you have provided an answer, the same will be gone for approval and the status of that particular question would be pending approval. So also there's a note being added, that is the answer should follow Flipkart's guidelines. In this regard, you can click on view guidelines over here itself to know more about this. So whenever you entering your product's answers or whatever answer to all the questions that you would like to. Before going ahead and answering any of it, would request you to go ahead and click on View Guidelines. So if you click on SanDisk, for example, you'll have View Guidelines over here. Go through the entire guidelines and follow the guidelines while answering the question. So this is how you will be able to go ahead and answer your question from your seller dashboard. Then comes tracking your answer. Once your answer is approved, it will be visible on Flipkart.com website with your seller listing. You can track the status of your question by clicking on Connect with Buyers, Answers tab. Again, all you need to do is connect with buyers, answer. So over here, you will be able to go ahead and track all your answers that you have answered to. Now, sellers, please type yes on the questions tab if everything is clear so that we can proceed further on how can you also answer buyer questions from your listing page. Please type yes if so far it's clear. We have a question from Ashish. Is this feature already enabled in Seller Portal? No, Ashish, we already mentioned that this is going in phases. Soon it should be available for all the sellers. As of now, it's still under production phase, and soon, as and when in phases, all the sellers should have it. So we are just preparing you for our future project, and anytime it might come to you, so you should be ready with it. Okay, now let's quickly go ahead and proceed further and understand how can you also go ahead and enjoy this particular feature from listing page. So listing page, I'm sure that we all know this, right? So if you go to your listing management page, and if you click on any listing, any particular listing, so this particular dashboard comes up. So over here, normally you have the price details, the catalog details, performance details. Along with all the information, you'll also have buyer questions. So let me actually show it to you from here. Okay. So like I was talking about, if you come to listing management page, if you click on the product, so over here you have the price details and inventory details. You'll have one more section that is called as buyer questions. So in that buyer question itself, just a minute. So in the buyer questions itself, you will have two tabs, that is answered and unanswered. Along with that, you'll also have a ribbon which would state that this many questions are yet to be answered by you, and this would actually help you in reducing the return and improve your conversion rate. You can click on view answering guidelines before going ahead and answering the following. Now, again, it's the same way. If you click on answered, you'll be able to go ahead and see the answered information. If you click on unanswered, it's the same thing where you will be able to go ahead and see a panel that's been widened. You can click on the products and then enter the same information. Click on submit to proceed further. So nothing would change. It would go ahead and be like the one that we learned earlier. A very interesting question being asked by Amit, that is it mandatory to answer all the question you just joined? So Amit, we actually answered that. It is not mandatory. You can always click on not interested, but clicking on not interested might actually reduce one of your sale, because a person who has asked that question might be interested in purchasing your product, so they have asked that question. Sorry. So if you do not go ahead and answer the question, then there's a chance of you losing that particular customer. So we would always recommend you that you go ahead and answer the question. So the character limit is again 200 characters, including spaces. And like it's mentioned, you can always go ahead and mark not interested if you don't want to answer any question, but it's totally at your own risk, because again, there are chances that you might miss a sale directly. Okay, Ashish, the option is not yet available to you. It's not available to any of the sellers, as a matter of fact. Slowly and gradually, it would be available one at a time. So it might come to you any sudden day. It might come to you after 10 days, after 15 days. You will be informed before this feature is being enabled on your dashboard. So do not worry about it. Another question, when we answer the question, if customers purchase the product, will it come to us or goes to different seller if we have multiple listing in the same listing? I'll just read the question once again. Shivana is asking, when we answer the question, if customer purchase the order, will it come to us or goes to different seller? So, Shivana, what are you talking about? So, if I understand correctly, is it a product that's been sold by multiple sellers, or is it a product that's only being sold by you? So, if you can answer that, that would be great. Yeah. So, again, is it a latch on or a single listing sold by only you? If you can answer that, we would get back to you. Lakshmi, from where I can see customers' question, Lakshmi, we already discussed the entire conversation. I guess you joined in late. We'll be sharing the entire recording to you. You can re-listen to the same information. Now, again, the same information after you have answered it, it will go to for approval. Once it's approved, it will be visible on Flipkart.com website on your seller display name. So this is how. Couple of things we already discussed that we'll be talking about do's and don'ts. Approved answers cannot be edited. However, you can re-answer the same question once the new answer gets approved if it replaces the old answer for the questions. So let's take an example. Let's say that you as a seller, let me take one seller as an example. Uh, Okay, Shivana, we received your question. Give us a minute. Once we explain this, we'll answer to you. Let's take Amit, for example. Okay, Amit has a similar question, so we'll take Amit for an example. So let's say Amit is selling this particular HP bag. So people are asking this question, and Amit has answered it, and then clicked on submit. So now let's see that after a few minutes, Amit realizes that he has forgotten to include the most important information. Maybe he has forgotten to, give the catchy details or a sales pitch or anything as such in this particular response that he should have used or that he could have used. So in that case, what Amit would do is after the old one has been approved, Amit would go ahead and rewrite or re-answer the same question once again. What would happen is once the new answer gets approved, the old answer that was available for that particular product would be replaced by the new answer. So this is something that you should be aware of. Next thing, you have to answer a question within 24 hours from the time it's assigned to you. If you fail to answer, the question will be assigned to other sellers, and you will less likely get another question, as not answering within the time frame will impact the seller selection criteria. So you need to ensure that you provide the answer within 24 hours. So this actually is a partial answer to to Shivana's question. So first thing you need to remember that the question will be assigned to you. Now, if a product has been sold by multiple sellers, then based on the type of questions and the seller's performance, everything would matter. And based on all those metrics, the questions will be assigned to the sellers. And even if it is not assigned, if it's on your panel, you need to provide an answer within 24 hours. So after 24 hours, what would happen is the question will be assigned to a different seller. Though you may provide an answer to it, but that, the importance, maybe the other seller provides an answer before you do. So automatically that importance itself loses in itself. So you need to at least go ahead and try to provide an answer within 24 hours, or else the question would be assigned to another seller. Though you may answer it later, but the importance would be automatically gone. You may take up to 1 day for your answer to be approved and it may take up to 1 day for your answers to be approved and start reflecting on the product page on Flipkart. So up to 1 day for your answers to be approved. Answers should be written in English language only. This is the most important thing. You will not be allowed to go ahead and type English, that is typing Hindi in English language. You will not be, your answers will not be approved if you're using any regional language or using the regional language and typing in English. So it should only be in English language as of now. And this is something that you should adhere to. Answers may not be approved due to various reasons, like personal information disclosure, profanity, or irrelevant responses. You're advised to understand and adhere to the guidelines for answering questions in order to avoid it. Like we already discussed, you should go through view guidelines before providing an answer, and ensure that you do not disclose any personal information or use of any abusive words or any irrelevant responses. If the answer is not approved, the same can be seen within answer tab disapproved subsection. So if you open the answer tab, you'll have a subsection that is called as disapproved. So if a particular answer has been disapproved, you may edit it and then resubmit the answer once again for approval. So that can be done later also. Now let's quickly go ahead and understand. So I'll just take a quick look at the question. Okay, Lakshmi, I guess we have already answered to your question. That is what would happen if you cannot answer. So as of now, for the sellers, when as this is the the pilot or the first phase happening. So initially what would happen is tomorrow if you get any questions from the customers, you will have a sticky enabled on your dashboard, which will tell you that you have this many questions to answer. You can follow the path and answer the question. Later down the line, that is as in when the entire pilot is completed and the other phases are launched, then automatically you will be notified if you get any questions from your customers. So sellers, please type yes if you have understood everything so far. Meanwhile, if you want me to repeat anything with regards to this particular topic, would quickly go ahead and repeat before we begin the Q&A. We don't have much questions as we have already answered most of your questions. I request you to start typing more questions. I'll be taking a minute's breather so that I can quickly go ahead and prepare the polls for you. And if anyone wants me to go through something, then please do let me know. Would love to do it again. I'll be putting it on mute. Please start typing. Before we move on to the Q&A section, would like to know if you like this particular feature. There's a poll on your screen requesting you to kindly go ahead and answer the same. Meanwhile, Umang, don't worry, we'll help you understand the listing tab once again. Uh, as you're asking the question that if you can see the listing tab once again. Do you want me to explain the feature in listing tab, or do you want me to show you the listing tab only? If you can help me with that. We have one more question, Shivana. Okay, if sellers do not answer questions which is assigned, will it affect the account's health? No, Shivana, it will not go ahead and affect your account's health at all. Just a minute. We have Ankita with us, who is an expert.
Hi Shivana. So the thing is, it will not affect your account's health in any way, please be assured of that. But it is always advisable to answer a question whenever customer is asking. Because you see, on an e-commerce platform, customer does not have a choice or a chance of take a touch and feel of the product. He'll not be able to see the product physically. He'll only be buying it on the basis of what explanation you have given on the portal, or on the basis of comments or Q&A which is there in the portal. So the more properly you have explained or you have answered the question properly, your chances of sale always increases. Because as a customer also, when we also shop, we do tend to read all the question and answers so that we get to know about the product exactly, or we get to know about other person's view of the product. So by answering this, you are increasing the chances of the sale. Also, you can monitor that whatever the answer other customer or other sellers have given for your product is right or wrong. If you feel that some of the wrong information is provided about your product, you can at the same time you can write another answer saying that the above information is not correct. Please be sure that this is the correct information, so that in your customer's eyes you are always there for him.
So I hope that answers your question. Before explaining the same thing to Umang, once again, there was one more question asked by Shivana itself. That is, what would happen if it's a latch-on method, and if the product, sorry, if he answers the question, will the customer's purchase come to the product? Nothing as such. It totally depends on whose account or on whose name is the customer choosing. I'm so sorry. So on whose name is the customer actually choosing buy add to cart option. So let me actually show it to you how it looks like. So let's choose electronics. I'll just go for computer peripherals. Let's choose this. I hope there are. Okay. Now let's say someone has answered the question. Okay, like you can see, this is an example. So over here, you can see that customers are actually answering the questions for themselves. Just a minute, let me actually close this. Okay, so over here you can see this is a demo that currently in Q&A, if someone is asking this question, customers themselves, they are actually answering this. So what matters is that whoever answers it, who will be getting the click on the buy now button. Now you can click on more sellers and see that there are so many sellers. So if you as a seller has actually answered that question at first, the customer would remember and then click the buy now button over there. So it can be this one, it can be this one, anyone. So it totally depends on the who actually on whose buy now button the customer clicks. Now, before we proceed further, as promised, I'll quickly go ahead and explain the listing part to Umang. And just a minute. Okay. Now, before going to that particular section, so Umang, the first thing is this is your listing tab, let's say, okay? So you need to go to My Listing tab, and over here, under the product details section, you'll have to click on that particular product, and you will have an option that is buyer question, a new phase added over here. So when you go ahead and click on the answered or the unanswered section, you'll be able to see the questions that you have already answered and also the questions that you have not unanswered. Click on unanswered. You will be able to see a panel that has actually expanded, and for each product, if you click on it, it will help you see the list of questions that has been asked to you. Go ahead and provide questions, keeping in mind that the character limit is 200 characters including spaces, and then click on submit. After you have clicked on submit, it goes for approval, and then once it is approved, it will be visible on flipkart.com website with your seller display name. So Umang, please do let me know if it's clear so far. Okay, no, Amit, I hope there will not be any dislike option for answer. No, I just, okay, just a minute, let me continue. So Amit, to answer your question, let Ankita actually go ahead and answer the question to you.
Hi, Amit. As Manisha already confirmed, this is being the pilot phase of this. So initially, we will not have any such like and dislike the option. But going forward, you would see a thumbs up and a thumbs down kind of a like dislike option. The main reason for us having this in place is that you might not answer all the question every time, or you might not be able to answer all the question every time, and some other seller come and answer it. And this Flipkart.com being open for all the customers to answer, many of the customer might also answer it, and sometimes those answers can be wrong. So from a third customer perspective, he should be able to judge which answer he should be able to trust on. So the answer having the maximum dislike will obviously come down the line, and as customer also will get a proper view. Okay, this answer has the maximum dislike, that means this is not a correct answer, and the answer having the maximum like has the more chances of being a correct answer. So that way it will get decided. So it's necessary to have that thumbs up, thumbs down, so that if someone is giving a wrong information about the product, we'll get to know that time.
So I hope that clarifies. That is, as of now, as it's a pilot phase, it would not be applicable. But as in when the experienced people come on board and all the sellers are onboarded, so that is when the thumbs up, thumbs down button would come into the picture. Lakshmi, can we edit our product details after active listing? Lakshmi, I'm so sorry. We are not talking about listing at all today. So if you would like to know more in terms of listing, then we have a webinar this Thursday for listing. That is on 24th Jan. That is in Hindi. You may be a part of it, and we will be able to help you there. Just now, as you explained that answers will be approved and then only it will be displayed on site. What if due to any reason answers are disapproved? Will seller get another chance to answer? Amit, we already spoke about it. So I guess you did not, follow that at that point of time. So like it's mentioned, if the answer is not approved, the same can be seen in the Connect with Buyers panel under the Answer tab. So in that Answer tab itself, you'll have a disapproved section where the reason for that particular disapproved would be provided. You may click on Edit, make the changes, and then resubmit the answer once again as per the guidelines. So I hope that answers would go ahead and help you. I think that it's a good initiative. It will increase the trust of buyers. Absolutely. When we speak about ourselves itself, what happens is we would love to know before purchasing. And as a seller, you'll have to be proactive over here, because the faster you respond, the sooner it is a good to go sale. So that would actually help you to know. Let's say that if a person is asking you a question and you have provided a response, maybe that person did not end up purchasing the product. So what would happen is you would know that why did the person did not purchase the product. Maybe the answer that the person was looking for was something else. So based on that, you'll be able to take you will be able to take your future decisions in step. How to get buy now button? So Lakshmi, in order to get buy now button, there are many I would say metrics that you need to meet. So it's not only the price of the product or the listing quality of that particular product, but it is also the entire entire what do you call it, the way your product has been working, or the performance of your product, to put it correctly. So you should ensure that the returns are almost zero. It should be zero all the time, and the prices should be to the mark. It shouldn't be too less or too much just in order for you to get the buy now button. Or whenever it's going for a listing quality check, it shouldn't fail multiple times. So these are a couple of metrics. However, there are many other algorithms that has been considered, which is not open, even to us. So this is something that you need to ensure. So on your control, what you have is to reduce the returns and the good quality feedback from your customers. So ensure that you work on that, and automatically you as a seller should have an opportunity to get the buy now button. Sellers, while I answer your questions, would request you to rate the webinar status. Rate the webinar. Again, sorry for coughing in between because of ill health. So I'm sure that I'll be excused for that. Meanwhile, I'll quickly jump to another question. That is, if we given right answer and some of the multiple sellers given wrong answer, will you guys verify the all answers?
Yes.
Yes. So Shivana, excellent question. Certainly, we will go ahead and verify all the information, and we already have the disapproved and the approval option. So if someone is giving an incorrect answer, it will automatically be taken care of. So Amit, thank you. Thank you for your get well soon wishes. Let me see what more questions we have missed. And after 1 hour, that is around 4:45, you should be able to go ahead and receive the entire audio and the video recording so that you can keep it handy. And later on, once you have it available to you, you can start using it. So I don't see much questions coming up. I guess everything is clear. And okay, please share yesterday's. Just a minute. I guess it was already shared. Flipkart Plus was our yesterday's program. So Amit, please do let me know if you have not received it at all. Akhil, actually, my question is unrelated to the topic. My GST and document for warehouse is getting rejected again. Akhil, would request you to quickly go ahead and, if it's possible, raise a ticket with our seller support team, because they will be the right POC to tell you that why is it getting rejected, as your documents are with the backend team. So this would actually would request you to take assistance from them directly, because we wouldn't have the backend information with us currently right now in this webinar. Umang, okay, can I ask a practical cue on return specifically on appeal category, as we have not answered? Okay, Umang, if I can understand your question, I'm not able to follow your question. If you are trying to ask a practical cue on return, especially on uh, apparel category. So are you talking about the returns policy? Please let me know. Okay, Amit, your webinar recording, so kindly bear with me. Okay, Ashish, you'll be getting the entire webinar recording mail on email itself. So after 1 year, 1 hour, sorry, that is around 4:45, you should have it available with you. So Mang, I'm still okay. So I have already pinged you the link. So Amit, you can follow the recording and proceed further. Okay. Okay, so Umang, if you're saying that, that's again a very a good question. That is, if your size chart starts from S38 in general, market it is S36. So what can you do? Then what you can do is, for that case, you can get in touch with our team. they will be able to go ahead and help you in updating the size chart. And if even after updating it, if it's still reflecting the same, then they can help you further. And in order to make it a generic one for all your product, you can get in touch with them. They should be able to do it. Okay, last question before we wrap up the webinar. It's from Akhil. That is, we have raised the ticket and they mentioned that doc is accurate, but it is rejected again. On Friday, team told me that it will get approved by backend team, but it is not done, so I'm not getting help. Okay. Okay, so Akhil, can you do me a favor? I'm just writing a mail and would request you to provide, send me all the information along with the incident ID, the responses, whatever it is, along with the documents, and I'll escalate it from my end and see what can be done. That's the max I can do. Shivana, as we have already spoke about it, customer question notifications, later down the line, it might come into the picture. However, SMS is yet to be, updated if it would come or not. But as and when we proceed further, we would go ahead with it. Okay, sellers, I see a lot of questions coming in that is not relevant to the topic. In terms of size, if the best person to actually go ahead and help you in terms of updating your product size and all such information would be seller support only. I do not have control on my hand to make any changes in the backend. So please get in touch with them to help you further. Okay, Umang, specifically as I told you about your size, would do me a favor, write me an email on this particular. Okay, I'm sending this email to everyone. Even Shrey, to read your question, that is, even I have a size query. Okay, Shrey, Umang, you may write your particular query to the email address that I have provided. That is the email address that you have received received the invite from, right? So if you reply to it and send it to me, I would escalate it and let's see if I can do anything. But because currently I don't have any power to do anything. So that's pretty much it, sellers. Thank you so much for being a part of today's webinar. Tomorrow we are coming up with our advertising webinar. Be a part of it if you would love to learn more about this. And also about promotions, Amit, we do come up with webinars with regards to promotions when it comes to listing basket and anything as such. It's been a long time we haven't come out with anything as such in terms of promotion, listing basket and all. So we can take that as a feedback, and certainly we would try to come up with anything as such whenever we have any big sale coming up. So thank you. Have a beautiful day ahead. Take care of yourself. Happy selling, and see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.